I'm about as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Joe. House Digital.
Maserati Rick in Detroit. Convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude. Strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game. Grateful Edmonds with the snowflakes. Craig Pettis in the M-Town. Sal Magluta with the boat game. Falcone with the cocaine. Like Freeway Ricky with the plug game. Like Monster Cody in South Central. Larry Davis from Close.
Tonight, a crime right out of a Hollywood movie like Ocean's 11.
An organized gang of wily thieves targeting armored trucks carrying a cash to refill ATMs. First, they flatten the truck for tires.
And then when the driver goes to check on that flat tire, the gang steals the cash.
They've done it 15 times and made off with $2 million.
Sherrod Coleman had a lot to say, referencing a body part and the president as officers led him and 3 others into the courtroom. 3 additional defendants are named in this case.
And charged with taking over $1 million from ATMs, but they didn't get them from the machines. They somehow got them from those who owned and operated the machines. News 4's Miles Miller is downtown Brooklyn with more on how investigators say they're doing this, Miles.
Well, those suspects were stalking those victims. They were creating elaborate diversions to rip them off.
Did you steal any money from ATM machines?
The suspects arraigned in Brooklyn Supreme Court had nothing substantive to say about the millions prosecutors say they stole over the course of 2 years. They were accused of following ATM couriers across Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and the Bronx, and once they collected their money, doing anything to rip the owners off, some 15 times. Like the time the 4 men followed this van to a new Hyde Park gas station in 2017. The driver exiting the van, the suspect blocking it with a car, going around the back of the van and setting aside a bag of cash. Seconds later, a minivan pulls up and grabs the cash, some $4,000. The driver had no idea.
Some of them actually used armored cars. There was a sledgehammer used to break into an armored car. There was all kind of tricks.
Prosecutors also allege the men engaged in stakeouts at 2 Brooklyn warehouses, where cash is packaged and distributed to refill the ATMs, and targeted cars with ATM cash and released the air from their tires to create diversions to steal the money.
And these are not kids. These are grown men. With many of them have prior criminal histories.
2 of the suspects were released due to the state's new bail reform laws, and 2 of the other suspects were rearrested for crimes committed outside of Brooklyn. We're at Brooklyn Supreme Court. I'm Miles Miller.
A quote, brazen and lucrative scheme that prosecutors just laid out in an 81-count indictment. Authorities say the suspects eyeballed warehouses here in Brooklyn that were full of money, cars that also had cash inside. And when the moment was right, they swooped in and took, in one case, more than $500,000. Sherrod Coleman had a lot to say, referencing a body part and the president as officers led him and 3 others into the courtroom. 3 additional defendants are named in this case. Surveillance video allegedly shows the suspects in action in February of 2017. It's at a gas station in Queens. The suspects pull up to a van that's unattended, open the back door, and take $4,000. Authorities say the money was supposed to end up in private ATMs, in stores, and in laundromats. This intricate operation went on for nearly 2 years here in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, Queens, and Manhattan. The victims were simply trying to refill those ATMs. The suspects allegedly got away with at least 15 heists, and in the process, more than $1 million.
Most of these couriers are not insured, so if they lose the money, it's on them, and they've really had a hardship. But let's also acknowledge the fear that these couriers were under when they realized that they were being followed from place to place, and at any moment they could be subjected to an act of violence.
Now, in one case, the suspects allegedly followed a victim home, and when he went to open his garage door, they took cash from his car. And in another instance, the suspects allegedly released air from the rear tire of a victim's car, and when he went to check on it, they made off with the cash. Back here live, these suspects are facing several charges, including larceny. And get this, after 2 of the suspects faced a judge here in downtown Brooklyn with this case, they were rearrested on unrelated charges.
Yeah, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We on our way to NYC with it. Headshot City. Brooklyn to be exact. But we gonna pull stings in 3 of the other 4 boroughs, so this shit gonna get hectic. I need the whole city to tap in at the bottom. Now, today we are going to be covering a set of individuals who I'm just gonna kindly give the name the Shiesty 7. Now, before I get into details about this involvement, or their involvement I should say, goddamn, Brooklyn keep on taking it. This shit don't change. Do it. Now, on Wednesday, March the 4th, 2020, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announced that 7 men from Brooklyn have been variously charged with conspiracy and larceny in connection with a long-running scheme in which they allegedly stole more than $1 million by breaking into vehicles that were delivering funds to replenish private ATM machines throughout New York City. Now, the defendants allegedly surveilled 2 Brooklyn warehouses, targeted cars that were carrying cash from those locations, and used various methods, including releasing air from the tires to facilitate entry into the cars to steal the money. Now, the district attorney will go on to say that these defendants allegedly ran a brazen and lucrative scheme to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from our local businesses. An incentive investigation by the NYPD and by my office has ended their citywide crime spree, and we have now seek to hold them responsible for their numerous crimes. Now, the 7 individuals would go on to be identified as William Jackson, aka Smoke, Lance Spearman, aka Low, Jamal Cooper, aka Coop, Jeffrey Blount, no aka, Sherrod Coleman, aka Rod, Johnny Colbert, and no aka, Freddie Barnes, no aka. Now, the 7 that I just spoke of, they were all named in an 81 count indictment in which they have variously been charged with 4th and 5th degree conspiracy, multiple counts of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th degree grand larceny, 3rd degree burglary on related charges. The district attorney said that according to the indictment, between December of 2017 and July of 2019, the defendants engaged in a conspiracy to steal money from the ATM owners and their drivers while they were delivering the funds to refill private. Now, let's listen to that. Private, non-bank affiliated ATM machines throughout New York City. In order to facilitate the scheme, the defendants allegedly conducted surveillance on those warehouses. They were located in Brooklyn and Vinegar Hill, and another one was located in East Williamsburg. And that's where the cash was being packaged and distributed. So it's alleged that the defendants targeted commercial vehicles that left the facilities and used multiple cars to conduct surveillance, the lookout, the theft, and the getaway. The 7 individuals allegedly entered a targeted vehicle through unlocked doors or by force, in some occasions releasing air from the tire as mentioned earlier to gain the entry while the driver attended to that flat tire. In total, the defendants stole $1,003,600 in 15 incidents that they were charged with in this indictment. Now, that's just, I don't even really know. I'm gonna, just my opinion, this shit sound like an inside job. Which one of y'all niggas was working at that warehouse? Because, gosh, if that is, I don't want to say an ingenious scheme, but hey, you tell me, man. They made $500,000 for the 2 years that they was doing it. The only problem was they was being probably too greedy, is what I would say. Now, the incidents where they ended up stealing that money,
according to the government, it started on February the 27th in 2017, where defendants Jackson, Spearman, Blount, Coleman, they allegedly followed a van to a gas station in New Hyde Park, Queens. Surveillance video showed a sedan driven by one of the defendants obscure the van, in which they left unattended, while Blount opens the door and removes the box containing the $4,000. And that's going to be the video that we seen prior. Now, shortly thereafter, he's seen entering another vehicle with the box, and the group of men drive away. Now, it wouldn't be long, a month, or I want to say a year later, in March on the 2nd, 2018, Jackson, Spearman, Blount, and Coleman allegedly followed the ATM owner from East Williamsburg warehouse after he withdrew $480,000. When he reached his Queens home and exited the vehicle to open the garage, one of the gentlemen entered his car and drove away. The defendants then all drove to Nassau County, Long Island, and moved bags of cash into their own minivan. Now, on July the 30th, 2018, Jackson, Cooper, and Blount allegedly followed an ATM carrier to the Lower East Side of Manhattan. They released air from that tire and stole $14,000. On September 5th, 2018, Jackson, Cooper, and Colbert, along with Blount, followed another ATM carrier to a location in Bushwick, Brooklyn, where 3 and other defendants were waiting on foot. Spearman and Blount then allegedly entered the vehicle and removed the ATM cassette containing about $73,000. Now, before the group fled in several vehicles. On October the 15th, 2018, which is a month later, the defendants Spearman, Blount allegedly followed another ATM carrier in Brooklyn, and they released air from that vehicle's tire. When he stopped at the gas station to refill the air, they stole $112,000 from the vehicle. Now, on May 14th, 2019, Spearman, Cooper, and Blount allegedly released air from a tire from an ATM carrier when he stopped at a mechanic's garage in Jamaica, Queens. Blount entered his vehicle and removed $50,000. On May 21st, 2019, defendant Spearman, Blount allegedly followed an ATM carrier to a gas station in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx, where the driver left his car unattended briefly. Blount allegedly shattered the rear passenger window and stole $50,000. So, just in those 7 occasions, the low was $4,000 and the high was $480,000.